television experiment. It really, Thursday night football used to be a really big deal if you could get on there, and then it eventually became, the big boys did not use that Thursday night slot so much, and so East Carolina, remember we were playing some Tuesday night games, if you can believe that. They experimented with that during the latter part of the 90s. And, we were playing Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I always had mixed emotions about the disruption of the schedule, and I had mixed emotions about open dates, because a lot of times we'd be in a pretty good rhythm, and we'd be winning football games, and then suddenly you get an open date. And, the only good thing about it is, Captain Obvious here, is that, your team can heal up a little bit. But I really did feel like that it ruined our rhythm. And, there's a ton of scheduling type work to keep your players, attempting to keep them in a rhythm. And I'm sure that East Carolina's right in the middle of that right now. So, Philip, you and I were talking before the show here about the East Carolina Temple game that obviously not this weekend, but coming up. That's their next opponent. And, they've got almost 2 weeks to get ready for this thing, which brings up another scar that I carry around. When you've got
Coach,
that
they're coming off a Thursday night game. They got 2.5 weeks to prepare for this football game.
That's exactly my point. I could tell a war story about an open date. I stumbled into this. I'm going to hold that story, but because I want to stay on the East Carolina Temple idea here. But you got 2.5 weeks to get ready for this thing, and I've been watching Temple out of the corner of my eye, and they're a 4-3 football team. But just read their victories and their losses. Philip, do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, Coach.
Yeah,
we'll start with the victories. They've beaten UMass, who is technically an FBS program, but
right.
An independent one. Or no, actually, they jumped over the MAC this year, so they are in a conference, but they're not very good. Then they knocked off Howard. Obviously, Howard's an FCS team, and then they beat UTSA at home. UTSA is a solid football team, but has really struggled the last couple years away from the confines of their dome. They're really tough at home, but they struggle on the road. That game was played up in Philadelphia. And then they went down to Charlotte and beat that JV team. Let's just call it, because that's what it is. And then their losses, Coach, all good losses. You got Oklahoma, Georgia Tech, and Navy, and those three teams right there are a combined one loss between the three of them in all of college football. Navy's undefeated, right. Georgia Tech is still undefeated, and Oklahoma's only loss was in the Red River Shootout against Texas.
Well, and again, you're right. The wins were predictable, the losses were predictable, and so guess what? They're sitting there at a predictable 4-3. But I've been watching Temple. Like I say, I can pull these games up on ESPN Plus. You can go get these games anytime they are on an ESPN broadcast, and it gives me a chance to throw them up and look at them. And I know I'm not saying anything that the East Carolina coaches have not said internally to the East Carolina football team. You better get ready. You better wake up. You better get serious. This is a game that is easily losable. You could lose this football game very easily against Temple. The numbers, and again, numbers are numbers, but you do need to look at them. East Carolina is averaging 30 points a game. And you can kind of, East Carolina's schedule, if you wanted to critique that schedule, the wins and losses that East Carolina has had, have been, should have won the ones they did, and they didn't win any of the ones you didn't think they would win. Tulane and North Carolina State and BYU, and they were underdogs and got beat. So really, you're looking at a real even table here. East Carolina's scoring 30 points a game. Temple is scoring 33 points a game. Defensively, East Carolina's got a great number at 17 points a game, but Temple's sitting at 24 points a game, giving up 24 points a game. And so by the time you kind of do a little bit of arithmetic there, the points scored versus the points given up, you're looking at a pretty even table. But here's something that is a real. I mean, when I would be preparing a football team, these are the numbers that I would look at. But the one that I was always anxious to get to find out what kind of opponent I had coming up was the turnover ratio. Now, I've harped on this too much, and I don't want to, sound like a broken record, but East Carolina last year, these numbers stick in my head. I think from last year, East Carolina had 30 turnovers last year, but they gained 30 turnovers. They ended up at a 0 level, but it was just massive ball insecurity. And this year they've remedied that. They've done a nice job. They've gained 10 turnovers. They've only lost 5. And East Carolina is sitting at a +5 in the turnover ratio bracket, which is very healthy. Temple has gained 10 turnovers. Listen to this, sports fans. They have turned the ball over 1 time in 7 games. Now, I got news for you. That is high level, extraordinarily high level ball security. Now, ball security is one of those things that if you could bottle it and sell it, each bottle would go for millions of dollars. And it's always been a kind of a curiosity in my career and in every coach's career how one year your ball security is good, some years it's great, and then all of a sudden a year comes along to where you're having trouble securing the football. Now, in my particular journey, the years that our turnover ratio got a little out of hand, invariably it was with a young quarterback. And the turnovers were coming in the interception category, not the fumble category. I can tell you that, the fumbling thing, this is, anybody would say this, any coach would say this, but I can tell you that it is biblical, it is foundational with me personally. If I had a running back with all kinds of talent, okay, that could not hold on to the football, routinely take care of the football, that young man did not play for me. I took several very talented running backs off of the field, and I just wouldn't play them because they'll kill your football team. They'll break your spirit. It disrupts your play calling if somebody can't hold on to a football. So enough of that. But the point is, somebody at Temple is doing a great job of preaching and achieving ball security. So, that's kind of what jumped out at me. The third down ratios, East Carolina's doing a nice job on third down, converting 50%, and they're defending at a 30% rate, which is excellent. Those are great numbers for East Carolina. And Temple is not quite that good on defense, not as good. The numbers are not as good on defense for Temple, but the offensive numbers are step for step with East Carolina, and in some cases a little bit ahead. So this is going to be a football game that you better pay attention. You better be prepared. You better be emotionally ready to go play. And I will offer this up as well. We played Temple in, I think, counting my assistant coach years at East Carolina and the head coaching years, maybe 13 seasons, 14. We played Temple, I would guess, 7, 8 times. And we handled them in Greenville routinely. We always had a hard time with Temple at Temple. Now, let me qualify that. We were playing in the old Veterans Stadium, which was an empty house. We would go up there, and Philip, where is Temple playing their home football games now? Do you know where they're playing?
They're playing at Lincoln Financial. No, they do not have their own stadium. They moved over just the way the Eagles did.
Okay, so they're in Lincoln. Well, so here again, I will tell, East Carolina, I'll tell the football team, you're going to have to generate your own energy when you get there. And that was always tough for me. It was tough for my team. Even on a down Saturday afternoon, well, much like the Tulsa game for East Carolina on Thursday night. That wasn't a large, raucous, typical East Carolina crowd, but there was a crowd there. And you're going to go to Temple in the Lincoln Financial Field, and I guess it probably seats 65,000, and there's going to be 7,000-8,000 people there. And so this is a backward home field advantage. We dealt with that with East Carolina going to Temple. We dealt with it when I was at East Carolina going to Tulane in the Superdome. I hated that football game with a passion. Every time we'd go down there, we would sleepwalk out of the locker room and be favored by, 14, 17 points. But we've gone down to the Superdome against Tulane and gotten soundly beat for just the reasons I'm speaking to. So that's just kind of a little heads up, scouting report for the East Carolina fans relative to the next opponent, which you may have 6 birthdays by the time they finally kick that game off. It's a long time in the making, but having 2.5 weeks to prepare for an opponent, that's a whole nother war story, but I'm going to hold that for right now. But Philip, just for the the local vibe, and I know Coach Harrell has given a press conference or two. What's the latest with the East Carolina football team, injury wise, or anything of note?
Yeah, no new injuries to report on. Bryce Weaver still dealing with his injury. Xavier McIver still listed on the injury report. We're not 100% sure when he'll come back. He hasn't played since the NC State game. They're expecting to have him back for Tulane. That obviously has not happened yet. And then cornerback Rashid Reason still dealing with that leg injury. So those are kind of the notable ones, but nothing new from the previous game. And Coach, just for a vibe in Greenville, I think it's kind of the same it was when we spoke a week ago going to this Tulane game, or in this Tulsa game, where it feels like everybody is in the mindset of what we've said. You're going to beat the teams you're favored against, and you're going to lose to the teams that you're supposed to lose to. And it's a mixed vibe as to the people who say, well, Blake Harrell is a first-year head football coach, and we can live with that. We can live with 7 or 8 wins on the season. And then there are some people that are absolutely ready to throw their TV remote at the wall because they're not going to win a conference championship or compete for one, which they still very much could. If they went out, that would only be one conference loss. There's a chance. The only real tough team on the schedule is Memphis. They've lost their quarterback. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I think there's some Pirate fans that all they look and they see is, hey, we've got more fans than everybody in the league. Why are we not doing better? Well, we're not cutting as big of a check as the fans, obviously, at South Florida, Tulane, and Memphis.
And I agree 100% with that. You made a little comment there about 7 or 8 victories would be good. I got news for you, and this needs to be imprinted on the East Carolina fan base. Winning 7 and 8 games, particularly 8 games at East Carolina, that's a really good football season, and don't lose sight of that, because what happens is you win 8, you win 9. You win 9, maybe you win 10 one of these days, and then pretty soon that becomes, the animal that eats your program alive, and you end up making bad decisions because there has to be a reload. And I used to say this when I was coaching at East Carolina. We didn't have the luxury of reloading. Okay, Clemson reloads. Texas reloads. Alabama reloads. East Carolina and pretty much everybody in the American Athletic Conference of today, if you're fortunate and you have a really, really good season, you don't reload, you have to rebuild. And that's a different animal. And particularly in this day and age where, in fact, I've had something, of course I can't find it in this stack of paper, but the American Athletic Conference, I think it said it was showing the number or the percentage of turnover that the American Athletic Conference football teams are experiencing. The average, it's something like 39% of the roster is going to flip every year. And here's why. The Power 4 people, there are, what you're always doing, you're looking down, if you're a Power 4 football team, let's just use North Carolina University, for example. North Carolina University is bringing in 40 recruits this year, according to Coach Belichick, and they're going to go shopping for about 15 in the portal this year, as opposed to shopping for 40 in the portal like they were last year because they were hired late. But when you go shopping for 15 in the portal, where are you going to shop? Well, the Power 4 people are picking off each other's second-team players to a degree. But what they're really doing is you look down one step. Where's the first one step you're going to look? The American Athletic Conference and some of the Mountain West Conference. Now, there are geographical concerns. If you're at the University of North Carolina, you'd much rather take a kid from East Carolina than you might want to take a kid from, pick a Mountain West school, Colorado State, for instance. So, because, the geography does matter to a degree. But where I'm headed is that, the American Athletic Conference, your roster is going to be just ravaged year after year after year because you've got pretty good football players and a few really good football players. And the really good ones are definitely gone if the paycheck's right, and it will be. And the pretty good ones may be gone as well. So don't lose sight. That's the point. Don't lose sight if you're in the fan base at East Carolina. 8 wins. That's a rock-solid year. It's good coaching. It's a good roster. It gives you a chance to repeat it for the next year, hopefully. But there may be a rebuild in there somewhere, and you don't panic and fire the coach and, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, which I'm going to get to maybe in the third segment of this hour, the state of college football. Let me tell you something, folks. This thing where they're firing these coaches right and left with no time to reload, much less rebuild, it's unsustainable. All right. We got Jim Szoke coming up, Philip.
We do.
All right. So y'all stay tuned. We're going to take a little break. We'll have Jim Szoke come in, a little East Carolina football, and lo and behold, the Panthers are acting like a professional football team. We'll get to that right after this break.
It's bow time. Fumbling the food on game day? Rookie move. But Bo can make your tailgate a winner, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Because the Carolina Legend has everything you're craving. We're talking crispy, juicy chicken loaded with real Southern flavor, fluffy scratch-made buttermilk biscuits, and all the fixins to feed your whole crew faster than you can say touchdown. Be the MVP this season and let Bojangles do the cooking. Order your tailgate today. It's bow time.
Acres Station Meat Farm is bringing you some big savings. October 28th through November 1st. Prime boneless chuck roast, just $7.99 a pound. Whole boneless pork loins, only $2.49 a pound. Don't forget, freezer combo specials close on November 22nd. For details, call 252-927-3700 and ask for Laura or Steven. They'll be happy to help. That's Acre Station Meat Farm, where Eastern Carolina saves on flavor.
Jeff Stein here at Brown & Wood Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. Right now we have GMC 1500 Elevation 0.9% or $78.50 off. That truck also has $359 lease special. For Buick, we got the all-new Enclave. It's beautiful. It's big. It can handle all of your luggage, kids, towing, anything. Brown & Wood Buick GMC, 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 rooftops, and one goal to make sure you leave a happy customer.
Is your pharmacy fumbling when it comes to customer service, prescription fills, compounding, medical equipment, and enteral intravenous therapy? Perhaps it's time for you to allow HealthWise Pharmacy to score a touchdown in regards to your pharmaceutical needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, HealthWise Pharmacy puts you and your health first, offering top-of-the-line customer service, individual attention, and free prescription delivery to anywhere in Pitt County. HealthWise Pharmacy, 615B Memorial Drive in Greenville.
Meet the Kawasaki Nav, our first ever personal transportation vehicle designed for cruising the good life. The Kawasaki Nav 4E puts the fun in functional, with a premium, sporty design and comfort for the whole family. Fully electric and loaded with storage, modern tech and more. The Kawasaki Nav won't just wow you, it'll wow the neighbors. Be the first to nav the neighborhood. Visit Ron Ayers Motorsports, north of the airport on Memorial Drive, Greenville.
If If you're concerned about your home security in Wilson and Rocky Mount or any part of eastern North Carolina, High Tech Communications has merged with SCI Technologies. This collaboration brings a variety of products and services that do more than keep your home or business safe. They differentiate themselves through their service and commitment to providing you the most reliable and cost-effective system for your individual location. Security systems can be installed for as little as $99. Google SCI Technologies for security, life safety, and home automation. It's SCI Technologies. Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back in here, week 9 of the Logan Zone in 2025. Hard to believe it's already been well over 2 months of doing this, and we're excited to have you listening and to bring in Jim Szoke, the voice of the East Carolina Pirates and also one of the color commentators for the Carolina Panthers, and both of his teams that he works for, East Carolina and the Panthers, both at 4-3, both above 500. A lot different than his first year here in Greenville when the two teams combined for just 4 wins. So he's had an upgrade as far as that goes. And hey, I think the Panthers have officially been elevated to average or at worst below average. They're no longer completely in the dumpster. But now we're going to toss it back over to the man who can actually speak on how good a football team is because he knows how to coach one. That is Coach Logan. Hey, Coach.
All right, back in the Logan Zone. Szoke, you with us, man?
I am with you, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well. So Pilkington just informed us that you've gone from a total loser to at least you're above 500 now. So I'm fired up for you, man.
I appreciate it. You know, we just do the talking parts, though. You do know that, right?
Yeah. Well, look here. Let me throw this at you. You know, just the. In fact, let's start with East Carolina. They got the open date coming up, and they actually have like 2.5 weeks to get ready for a football game. But you know, when I'm looking at the Temple, I went and watched some ESPN Temple game film, and then I pull. You know, I'm a coach, so I pull all the numbers on Temple, pull all the numbers on East Carolina, and. You know, I'm out here telling everybody right now, you better wake up and get ready. This Temple football team, they're just about like East Carolina. They've won the games they were supposed to, and lost the games they were supposed to, and lo and behold, they're 4-3. But I would say a couple of things just from coaching. You know, Philip and I were talking about open dates. The good news is you get to heal up. The bad news is it breaks your rhythm. And I'm assuming that Temple's going to play a football game this Saturday. And
yes.
If they are going to play a football game, they're going to be in rhythm by the time East Carolina shows up in Philadelphia for this football game. And it always scared me as a coach. You know, I mean, Blake Harrell's going to take a football team on the field that has not played a football game in 2.5 weeks. And I know how college football players are. That doesn't bode well. And so I've said all that to let you start commenting on the East Carolina Temple deal that's going to come up in 2.5 weeks. And I've got the warning signs out for everybody right now. What do you think?
Yeah, this is not like last year or last couple of years of Temple, Coach, with Casey Keeler taking over as coach. To your point, you know, they beat the teams they were supposed to, but the ones they lose to are number 13 Oklahoma, number 18 Georgia Tech, and Navy by 1 point. So you know, those are, you know, tough ones to win, and almost beat. They should have had Navy. Actually lost that game late. Their quarterback, I know you looked at the numbers. Evan Simon has 16 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. I don't care who you're playing or at what level. if you're playing Pop Warner, that's an amazing stat right there.
I agree. That in fact, I looked at the turnover ratio and I made this comment right before you came on. They're 7 games into the season. They have gained 10 turnovers and lost 1. They've lost 1 fumble, 0 interceptions. And, if I were coaching against a team that had that profile, it would scare me to death because somebody's doing some coaching, they're organized, and their ball security is out the roof. I don't remember seeing a football team with 7 games played and only 1 turnover.
Yeah, that's an amazing number. And you asked about who they're playing. They're playing Tulsa, so we'll get a good feel for them since that was our last game. They'll go to Tulsa to play Saturday, and then, of course, it's a home game for them with the Pirates coming in the next week, so they have that advantage of being at home. Don't have to travel. So they're set up pretty good, Temple is. And, hey, you know what? As you know, right, Coach, they've had some really good coaches through the years. I mean, it's really been a good number of guys who've gone on, Al Golden and some others that have ascended. Hate saying the name, but Matt Rule, whether he deserves it or not, has gone on to coach at a number of places. And through the years, they've had some really good name coaches come through there and had some really good players, too.
There's no doubt they've had good players. I will also, I'll kind of get you ready for this, although you know what you're walking into. I used to talk to people about, when I was coaching at East Carolina, and, when we were in Greenville, there was a nice atmosphere, no matter what. Even last Thursday night against Tulsa, which wasn't a great normal East Carolina atmosphere, there were fans in the stands, and they were interested, even though it was Thursday night and it was Tulsa. But, I used to just hate taking an East Carolina football team to 2 places. Temple, because you're going into Lincoln Financial, and there won't be anybody in the stadium. And I used to hate going to the Superdome to play Tulane. Now, Tulane has fixed it. They've got their little boutique football stadium down there that behaves as a football stadium. You got 30,000 seats or whatever. And, you get a feel for college football in there. But the Superdome was an upside-down home field advantage for Tulane because no matter what I preached, I never could get our football team to bring its own. You got to bring your own energy to those places. Right. And, I don't know, has East Carolina played at Temple recently? How long has it been since they've been up there?
It's before my time. It has happened. This will be my 3rd year, so it's before my time. So whenever that would have been, I'm not exactly sure.
So what that means is there's nobody on that football team at East Carolina right now that knows they're getting ready to walk into an NFL football stadium that's empty, and they're going to play a football game. And I'm just telling you,
you're playing in front of parents.
Yeah, it really is. It's a difficult situation, and the Temple players are used to that.
So it was 2022, Coach, the last time they played up at Temple, and they also have not played out South Florida since then because, same scenario there, playing down in Raymond James.
Yeah, well, there you go. So anyway, I got the caution flags out for everybody concerning, the East Carolina Temple deal, and the Temple-Tulsa game will be of interest to watch, to see what it is you're walking into. So, well, enough of that, and on to the unfolding mystery of the Carolina Panthers, Zoke. So suddenly we're 4-3, and again, the Buffalo Bills, it's time for some true big boy football with the backup quarterback, and I'm going to give you one little Loganism. Your football team is only as good as your backup quarterback. I've said that for years. And I will say this. Steve Logan has always been, for whatever reason, a huge Andy Dalton fan. I think he's a really good quarterback. He had the Bengals right at the doorstep for, it seems like, a 10-year run, and they never could get over that first playoff game. I believe the head coach was Marvin Lewis. And but I am a big Andy Dalton fan. When I was at San Francisco and we used to discuss the backup quarterback, I told our GM I had 3 categories for a backup quarterback. Number 1 was baseline. He had to be able to finish a game for us. Number 2 category would be finish a game and win it. Number 3 category was start a game and win it. And I felt like we had one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league back then in Blaine Gabbert. And in fact, when we had a change at quarterback, Blaine won 3 out of our last 4 games for us at San Francisco. So I may have been more right than wrong. But, I'm not just like throwing my hands out because Bryce Young's hurt and Andy Dalton's playing. So you got all that to work with. What do you say?
No, I'm hearing what you're saying. I agree with it. And you remember last year, Andy, they actually benched Bryce early last year after two games under Dave Canales. Andy Dalton came in and played great. They put up a lot of points against the Raiders in Vegas, won that game. He played well, but kind of diminishing returns each week after that. So at this stage of his career, 35, 36, probably 36 years old, I mean, he's doing exactly what he wants to do. He wants to be a backup and a spot starter. He's not looking to start 17 games. When given the chance to play, like this week likely will be, since Bryce did not practice again today, Andy's fine to play in those situations. But I think at this stage of his career with his family, I think he loves living in Charlotte and likes being a mentor. Some quarterbacks, as you know, don't like to be a mentor. They just want to be starters, and they're not really there to help somebody else's career out. But Andy's the perfect backup quarterback from all those situations and a good team guy. And beyond all that, as far as the football goes, just knows how to run the offense properly. And that's sometimes all you want is just someone that can come in and understand the plan and execute the plan. And whether it works out or not, at least he's doing it the right way. And he comes in last week, cold off the bench at the end of the third quarter. And by the end of the game, he had to throw a 33-yard pass to Xavier Legette to steal the game for a first down without having a week to prepare. This week, he'll have the whole week to prepare with the starting group out there once again. And I agree with you. I think Andy Dalton's one of the best backup quarterbacks you could have in the NFL.
So what is, I've kind of tried to find out exactly what the injury to Bryce Young is, and all they just keep saying it's an ankle injury. I watched the slow motion replay. That easily could have been a broken lower leg. I've seen enough football in my life to know what it was I was looking at, but has there been any definitive, description of what Bryce Young's dealing with?
Not from the team. There was a report from, it was either Tom Pelissero or one of the major NFL reporters that he called it a high ankle sprain, which used to mean quite often 4 to 6 weeks. This one doesn't seem to be that severe by all accounts. And everything that they've said, he's been out there doing some side work on it. So it makes me think if he really did have a 4-week injury, he wouldn't even be out at practice, jogging and doing the things he's doing. So it does seem to be something that will be somewhat short term. If he doesn't play this week, I don't think it's going to linger much longer. So it seems to be a mild sprain, and if it's a high ankle sprain, so be it. But that seems to be what it was. He kind of I think the guy tried to maybe trip him a little bit or kick him. So I think that's kind of what led to what actually got him injured, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let me ask you this. What do the Panthers have to do? I've watched the Buffalo Bills a good bit, and to me, they don't seem like they've quite got their rhythm going like they did last year. They're still extremely dangerous and capable. But what do the Panthers, if you're going to try to pull this thing off, and it will be an upset, I don't know what the line is, but it'll be an upset just on talent across the board. What do the Panthers got to do to pull this off?
Yeah, Buffalo like a 7-point favorite in this game. One thing they do well is stop the run. Now, they've gotten some guys back. Ed Oliver coming back last game for them is helpful. So they've been a little bit dinged up on the defensive side. They got Larry Ogunjobi, the former Charlotte 49er, coming back from suspension this week. So they'll probably improve in the category I'm about to say, but they've not been really good to this point stopping the run. 31st out of 32 teams, 156 yards they give up per game. And, of course, we know what the Panthers do, especially when they give Rico Dowdle the opportunity, is run the football. And the Panthers are third. Buffalo's first in running the ball because their quarterback, Josh Allen, adds so much to that. But with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, that's what I would do. I would just focus on that. Run the ball. You've got your backup quarterback in there, Andy Dalton. So I would try to start with that anyway and try to attack them where your strength is that, and their weakness is, at least at this point, that, stopping the run. And then if you got to switch off of that, you got to be prepared for that. But I would start in that category.
Well, I give Dave Canales all the credit in the world because and I know just all through last year the amount of stress and pressure and the public pounding that you take as a football coach, even when things are going well. Just from a distance, I'm a Dave Canales fan, and again, the Bryce Young laboratory is still real interesting to me as to where that's going to end up. But sure enough, one of the things that I think you and I even touched on it, Bryce Young, I can remember sitting in professional draft rooms, and invariably somebody would throw out the phrase, he's got ability, but without durability, it doesn't matter. And, when you look at Bryce, every time I see Bryce Young, and, there's always an outlier out there. Kyler Murray is of this ilk, where he just physically they just don't look like they belong out there. And, sure enough, I'm seeing Bryce, and that ankle injury could have happened to anybody. But again, the durability deal, I'm hoping the young man can come back and get his feet on the ground, because it looked like he was beginning to have the game slow down for him a little bit.
Yeah, like that touchdown throw he had, it was a 13-6 game, so the only touchdown of the game, as it turns out, for the Panthers. Yeah, when he's rolling out to the left, and then he's directing Xavier Legette back over in the end zone away from the sideline to make that throw. I mean, that's the kind of stuff where you see kind of special qualities that he can have when he's out in space as a quarterback like that. That's where he's really good. And I think you probably saw Tua Tagovailoa make a comment this week. He couldn't see Jalen Waddle, like basically saying he couldn't see from the Miami Dolphins against the Browns last week in their loss. So you need a quarterback that has passing lanes, or you roll the pocket to do some things for him. But sometimes it just calls for you just have to stay in the pocket and beat the big guys that are in front of you and be able to see and change your arm slot or whatever has to happen to get a pass through there. And he has a surprisingly low amount of batted down passes. So to his credit, he plays at times when he's playing with confidence a little bit bigger than his size would show. But yeah, physically, that durability thing, like he's always going to weigh about what he weighs. He's not going to get any taller. So he'll just have to continue to kind of hold up with what he's got working with there, and hopefully just avoids the big hits like that.
Well, it's been encouraging to watch the Panthers, show some life. And again, it's a credit to the coaching staff. It's in any day and age, it's really hard to keep a locker room competitive and interested and somewhat cohesive when things are going just god-awful, which it's been a long stretch of really tough stuff for the Panthers. And again, I don't know Coach Canales. I've watched him from a distance. I think that he just comes across the way that you would like your coach to come across, which is just really steady. And let me ask you a pop quiz here, because I haven't dug down deep in it. I know Coach Canales is, he's a quarterback guy. He's calling the plays. He's running the offense. Who is technically the offensive coordinator at the Panthers right now?
So the offensive coordinator is Brad Idzik, who came with him from Tampa Bay. And, of course, Canales was the offensive coordinator there, and Idzik was on staff there as an assistant coach. So they're fast friends, and they've known each other. So they really do, as far as know each other. They've got quite a bit of history together. So
is he actually coaching the quarterback, and then, of course, Canales has a million other things he's got to do. So is that who Idzik is working with the quarterback individually?
Correctly. So Canales, to your point, like he's a head coach who also is the play caller, even though he's got an offensive coordinator. And when things were not going well the first couple of games this year, some people were questioning, like, well, maybe he should give up that function of it and just be the head coach and let Idzik actually be the play caller. But he's not relinquished that. And of course, you start winning and people stop asking about it. So we'll see if it comes back up again down the road. We got Buffalo, we got at Green Bay, so some tougher games coming up over the next couple of weeks.
Well, it would be, victory. Any victory is good, and the victory over the Jets, we'll take it. And but this is going to be a step up into the big boy category of the NFL, and it'll be a measuring stick for the Panthers. And Jim, I really, really appreciate your time and the double dose of Pirates and the Panthers is unique from you and unique to this program, and I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Steve. It's always fun to have conversations with a guy that knows football so well like you do, and I'm honored to be on with you every week. Look forward to it the next time.
All right. We'll see you next week, hopefully. Y'all go get two. No, you're going to go get one victory, maybe two in 2 weeks, all right?
All right, Steve, pressure's on. We'll see what we can do.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Jim Zoki, the double voice, double Panthers and Pirates. All right, little blues creeping in. We're going to take a little break here. And we will this next segment, 252. And I'm going to launch a little bit into the state of college football. It's just been rattling around in my brain. I threw down a bunch of bullet points all week long that I kind of need to get off my chest. So y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Fall is hands down the best time at Fish Street Hardware in downtown Greenville. We've got live music, trivia, singo, karaoke, and more to keep your nights lively. Plus, game days are back and better than ever with home and away tailgate parties as we cheer on the Pirates all season long. Make NFL Sunday your new Sunday fun day with brunch at 10, games all day, and doors open until 9. We're also extending our hours on Fridays and Saturdays, now open until 11, with live music from 8 to 11, including monthly full band shows. Stay connected on all social media and come see what all the buzz is about at Hardware this fall.
I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. The football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
Greenville Utilities customers should be proud to know that their electric, natural gas, water, and wastewater utilities are owned by the community. That means decisions are made locally, not in some other city or state. It means the utilities are run in the best interest of the community, not to make profits for out-of-state shareholders. It means reliability is high while rates remain low. Greenville Utilities, safely providing reliable utility solutions for the Greenville region since 1905.
Hey folks, Coach Logan here. Did you know that one of the top-rated insurance agencies in the country has been operating right here in our backyard since 1952? Snipes Insurance was just awarded a 2025 Best Practices designation, one of only 16 in North Carolina to receive this honor. Director of Benefits and Pirate alum Lewis Gale lives right here in Greenville. They also have a dedicated commercial and agricultural department. Check them out at snipesinsurance.com or email Lewis at snipesinsurance.com.
They say nothing is so strong as gentleness. At Michael and Russell Law Firm, they agree. Gentleness is not weak. It's a deeper kind of strength that's empathetic and kind. It's why they specialize in law that puts families first. Their team offers leading expertise in collaborative law, adoption law, juvenile family law, litigation, and appellate family law, all backed by an effective, gentle approach.
I'm Ashley Michael.
And I'm Ashley Nicole Russell.
We know this journey is hard, and we're here for you.
Hey folks, this is Coach Steve Logan. My friends at Dogwood State Bank are Pirates, and they are changing the landscape of community banking. That term, community banking, is not just a catchy slogan for Dogwood State Bank. They really are redefining what it means to bank local. Big banks may want big business, but Dogwood State Bank wants your business no matter what the size. At Dogwood, your business is big business. Dogwood State Bank has offices in Greenville, Morehead City, Wilmington, Raleigh, Sanford, Fayetteville, and Charlotte.
Member FDIC.
At Parker's Barbecue, our family has been serving your family for 3 generations.
For that, we say thank you.
Blessing families every Thursday. Kids eat free all day. That's the Parker's way.
Legendary food served from our 3 locations. Always quick, always delicious. That's the Parker's way.
At Parker's, our mission is to impact our customers through Christ-like service in a way that feeds them both physically and spiritually. That is the Parker's way.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone here. We are taking your calls the rest of the way at 252-561-4263. Best caller gets a Bojangles 8-piece tailgate. We do want to thank one of our title sponsors, Bill Clark Homes. Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU, and they can continue to support year after year because Bill Clark Homes continues to build great homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions. We're going to toss it now back over to Coach Logan, and we do have our first caller of the day on the line, and that is Dave. So, Coach Logan, take it away.
All right, back in the Logan Zone we go. We got Dave. You are in the head coach's office. What's up, man?
How you doing, Coach?
Good.
Well, listen, you were talking about the Bryce Young, Andy Dalton situation. And I'm going to ask you to just put some shoes on for just a minute. Okay, and then we're going to go back to last year at East Carolina because we know daggone well you picked the quarterbacks at East Carolina for many years, and you did very good with that. So I'm going to ask you two questions. I'm going to hang up and listen.
Okay.
All right. Hypothetically, if you were the head coach at the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte right now, would you start Andy Dalton or Bryce Young? And I'm talking both of them healthy. And I want to go back into flux capacitor to the last season at East Carolina. If you were the head coach at East Carolina, and, I always thought Mike Houston was a great coach, and I don't think he adapted very well to NIL and this kind of thing. But had you been in Mike Houston's shoes last fall before the first game, would you have started Garcia or Hauser? And I'm just going to hang up and listen to what you got to say about this because I think it'll be very interesting.
Well, as far as the Panther situation and what I would be doing right now, I can Dave, let me tell you about the NFL first. And you know this, but I'm going to talk to you about being in the middle of it, being in the front line of it, okay? In the NFL, in the quarterback room, I was the quarterback coach at the San Francisco 49ers, and there was a lot of talk, who we're going to play, which one, this, that, and the other. But it's usually pretty cut and dried in the NFL. Wherever the money is, that's who's going to play. Now, you know this, I know this, but I'm just giving you some true inside baseball on it. When I was in that situation, people, I would have to talk to the head coach, talk to the general manager, the quarterback. What are we doing with the quarterback? How's he playing? How's he progressing? Is he regressing? And all of that comes, down on the quarterback coach's plate. And so even if the man with the contract is stagnant, even regressing, the first actions that will be taken by the organization will be to fire the coach, because the money that is committed to the player has been committed by probably that general manager and that owner. Those guys are not going to swallow the idea that they guessed wrong. They're not going to do it. And, it's easy to find spots and moments for any player where they played well. Okay, so once a kid shows you that he's got some moments where he plays well, then it becomes incumbent upon the teacher, the coach, to get the young man to play well constantly and consistently. And that's fair, and I accept that. And, that's the job of the coach. At the same time, if money is not on the table, let's just say 5 years ago in college football, money is not on the table. Let's use the University of Texas for an example right now. The University of Texas has a huge problem on their hand. Coach Sarkisian is not sleeping at all because he's involved in exactly what I was talking about, okay? He's got a high profile. The last name of the kid is Manning, for crying out loud. It was estimated they spent $8 million recruiting the young man. God knows what this young man is getting NIL-wise. He's probably one of the high, well, he's not probably, he's the highest paid guy in the building, probably on par with the head coach. And he's starting, and the Texas University Longhorns right now, I guess, have played 7 games, I'm guessing. Arch Manning has played well in exactly 1 game that had any meaning to it. He played well against Oklahoma, which is a hell of a good get. That's a good game to play well in when you're at the University of Texas. He did do that. He came back last week, and I'm just telling you, there's a lot of questions where that could go. But Steve Sarkisian right now, he can't take that Manning kid off the field. And I'm talking to you exactly about what I'm talking about with Bryce Young and Andy Dalton on a different level, but exactly the parallel universe. The owner of the Panthers, and maybe the head coach of the Panthers, I've got questions about that, decided to make Bryce Young the first pick of the draft. The first pick of the draft, if he's not performing well, they will fire 2, maybe 3 coaches before they admit they made a mistake on Bryce Young, if it turns out to be a mistake. I don't know that it is or not. And I was just talking with Jim Zoki previous on the show, if you were listening. The Bryce Young laboratory, to me, is fascinating to see it unfold. Is he going to make it? What's he going to be? Is he going to be good enough? He may win a Super Bowl. I don't know. He may be just not good enough. I don't know. But I can tell you this much. He's got a long leash because of the money committed, the prestige that's at stake for the owner, and maybe the head coach. I don't know that Dave Canales was all in to draft Bryce Young as the first pick of the draft. You just never know. I turned in my quarterback evaluations at the San Francisco 49er, at the 49ers, and at the top of my list was a young man named Jared Goff from Cal. That's who I had rated the best of that class that I evaluated that year. And we weren't in the quarterback market that year. But as it turns out, there were a lot of people that had Goff like 2, 3, 4, and sometimes even 5th on the board. I think it turns out Jared Goff may have been one of the best in that class. And so you get into evaluation discussions as I'm talking about all this, and then you ask the question about Mike Houston, and Philip, you're going to have to help me with this. The Garcia kid, his last year, which was Mike Houston's
23.
Second to the last year, true?
Correct, yep.
The Hauser kid was nowhere in the locker room that year, true?
Correct.
Okay, so I think Dave's a little bit, he was confused there, thinking that Hauser was on the roster with Garcia. So that question doesn't, you can't even get off the launch pad, because Hauser was brought in after the Garcia blow up happened. And I do agree with what Dave said that, Mike Houston is a rock solid football coach. And the numbers prove it. He's rebuilt programs right and left. And all the credit that he ever got, he deserves, and he earns it. And he earned it. And what happened? Seeing routine business in the football world. So, I wish nothing but the best for Coach Houston and his future travels. So, anyway, East Carolina right now has a good quarterback situation right now. Caden Hauser has turned in to be a good get. which gets back to, people say, well, just go buy a
Locals know,
quarterback.
visitors discover, and everyone's welcome at Caribsea and Emerald Isle. Stop in for the handcrafted cocktails, stay for the live music and rooftop views at the Torpedo Lounge. Caribsea's menu features fresh seafood, hand-cut steaks, and the famous baked crab cakes locals swear by. Caribsea is the only spot on the island taking reservations with plenty of space for your crew. CaribseaRestaurant.com. For date night, family dinner, or a relaxed evening with friends, it's Caribsea and Emerald Isle.
Hey folks, this is Coach Steve Logan for Walton Academy and Children's World Learning Centers. I've known the Walton family for years. In fact, I coached Chad and Blake Walton in Pee Wee years ago. Walton Academy is a K-8 private school in Greenville on Arlington Boulevard. They also operate 4 Children's World Learning Centers across the city. The Waltons believe school should be a place where kids feel inspired, supported, and excited to learn. I promise you that if the Waltons put their name on something, it's done with heart, purpose, and excellence.
Have you had a colonoscopy? If you're between the ages of 45 and 75, you need to be screened regularly for colorectal cancer. Dr. Philip Goldstein and Dr. Maurice Marquardt at Carolina Digestive Diseases and Endoscopy Center want to keep you healthy. They provide treatment and quality care for all GI needs. Just call the office at 252-758-8181.
This is Dr. Maurice Marquardt, reminding you that colonoscopy can save your life. Visit our website at cddgastro.com and come see us at Carolina Digestive Diseases.
Want a straighter smile without the hassle of metal braces? At Doctors Bowman Patchett and Associates, they make it easy with Invisalign, the clear, comfortable, and virtually invisible way to align your teeth. As a Gold Plus Invisalign provider, their experienced team has helped hundreds of patients. Smile with confidence and see real results without brackets or wires. Call today to schedule your free Invisalign consultation. Your perfect smile is just a call away. 252-752-1111. Doctors Bowman Patchett and Associates. Your smile is our passion.
Did your insurance agency just go corporate? Well, your local agent, Weatherly Insurance, is just around the corner. Weatherly Insurance is locally owned with no call centers, offering real people and real service. Weatherly Insurance proudly writes auto owners, National General, Progressive, Nationwide, and many more. Go with the local agent with national carriers. Check them out at weatherlyinsurance.com or call 756-9900. From the Outer Banks to the Inner Banks, Weatherly Insurance has you covered.
For years, Callie Ann Phelps has been singing about Phelps Chevrolet.
Phelps Chevrolet is the one for you. Low, low prices, service too. See the big dealer right away. Carolina's finest, Phelps Chevrolet.
And you'll agree with what Skylar Phelps has to say.
Nobody beats Phelps Chevrolet's prices. Nobody.
The name you can depend on. Phelps Chevrolet.
Get you one.
Looking for outdoor storage? Maybe a she shed, man cave, tiny home, or greenhouse? If so, East Carolina Outdoor Products is your one-stop shop. East Carolina Outdoor Products has just opened 2 locations in Greenville, on Memorial Drive across from Ron Ayers and on Greenville Boulevard across from AccuLink. East Carolina Outdoor Products also custom builds right in your lot. East Carolina Outdoor Products is the only company in Eastern North Carolina that manufactures, delivers, and sells outdoor storage buildings. And they're pirates. 10 locations in Eastern North Carolina.
And now, you just crossed over into the Logan Zone. From ECU Pirate football to the whole college landscape to basically anything else that's on his mind, Coach Steve Logan's talking about it now.
You don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart.
Tweet at Steve Logan Show with your takes or call 252-561-GAME for your spot in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. Now, here's Steve Logan.
Welcome into the Logan Zone, taking your calls the rest of the way at 252-561-4263. And remember, the best caller gets an 8-piece tailgate from Bojangles. Want to thank one of our title sponsors here at Greenville Utilities. Even though Greenville Utilities has a reliability rate of 99.99%, sometimes outages happen. Just like football, you need to have a plan for what to do just in case. Right now, grab your cell phone, open the contacts list, and add GUC's emergency hotline as a contact. Here's the number to use, 1-855-767-2482. That's 855-SOS-2GUC. Have a plan, or plan on using this instead of fumbling around when the lights go out. So that will do it for that. And now we're going to toss it back over as we get Hour 2 started. Here is Coach Logan with Hour 2 of the Logan Zone.
All right, back in the Logan Zone we go. Before I get to my state of college football, just I know for a fact we've got a large group of NC State fans that tune into the show each week, and I just want to touch on the North Carolina State situation. North Carolina State sitting there at 4-3. Coach Doran's fighting for his life over there. C.J. Bailey's still playing good football at the quarterback position. And, they're playing Pitt this week. And this, when you look at the North Carolina State situation, it's not in good shape right now as far as what could unfold down the stretch. So they're playing Pitt, and Pitt is a 5-2 football team. They got to go to Pittsburgh to play the game. The first thing I'd do if I was traveling north is check the weather. I don't know what it's going to be up there. Hopefully they get some manageable weather. But, the numbers on this game don't look good for North Carolina State. I mean, North Carolina State's averaging 30 points a game, giving up 26. And, in fact, I think last week I saw what was called a defensive stop chart, the ability to stop teams and make them punt. And I believe North Carolina State was either 90th or 99th in the country in that particular category. They've just got tremendous defensive problems at North Carolina State, which before we ran into a hard break on the way out of the first hour, and I was getting ready to pontificate on something. I lost my way there. But what I was going to say, and it has to do with North Carolina State's defense, this going out and, the idea that you're going to go out and buy a football team and win immediately, which has been done. It's been done in the last 2 to 3 years. But this is not automatic, okay? When people used to talk to me about recruiting, I would tell them that there were two aspects to recruiting. There was salesmanship. Now, this is the old collegiate model that 3 years ago is dead. Salesmanship now in the recruiting arena is a non-factor. All right, so the only thing that's left, it's like working in the NFL. You don't have to sell much in the NFL. There's nothing to sell. You just simply buy your players. Well, that sounds simple enough, but here's the key. You have to buy the right player, which gets back to the conversation I was having about Bryce Young. You bought the quarterback. Now, is he good enough? Can he play? Well, the same thing is happening now at the collegiate level. And so I'm assuming, and, probably next week, I'm going to have the play-by-play guy from Matt Chasnow from North Carolina State. Philip, let's have him on the program next week, because I'm assuming that Dave Dorn and the North Carolina State Wolfpack went out and, paid some of their defensive football players and maybe went in the portal or whatever the case may be. But you say, okay, I went out and bought this guy. Well, that's great. Well, you look up and suddenly your defense isn't any good. What does that mean? Well, it means you bought the wrong guy. You bought some bad players. They're not good enough, and they're not performing up to the contract, so to speak. And so this is kind of where the North Carolina State football program is right now. And I know it's killing Dave Dorn. He's a defensive coach by trade. But they are not very good on defense. They're just not. And so, anyway, having said all that, North Carolina State, they're underwater in the turnover category, which, that kind of goes hand in hand. When your defense is suspect, okay, when your defense is suspect, guess what you have to be on offense? You've got to be super aggressive because every possession matters. You can't have a possession where I used to, in a perfect world as a play caller, I used to take a possession. Now, don't get me wrong, I was trying to score, but I was also using what I call investment plays. I was making an investment, let's say in an outside zone play that, I was hoping it gained some yards, but I wasn't expecting it to go for a touchdown. but I was using that outside zone play to set up a naked reverse or whatever the case may be, off of that family of plays. So the point I'm making is when you've got a defense that's just porous and getting scored on right and left, every possession becomes the end of the world, and you've got to score. Well, guess what that does? Your turnover rate goes up mostly through the interception category because you're forcing them. 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. This is how you throw an interception. It's 3rd and 10. They know you're throwing it. We know we're throwing it. We got to have it. We're going to force that thing in there no matter what because they're going to be dropping 8 people into coverage. They may be playing man under with a 2 deep free safety. All of those kinds of coverages that are very difficult to get somebody open, but you're going to throw it anyway. You got to. Why? Because your defense, when you punt that football, if you have to punt it, it's going to result in 7 points for the opponent. And so, this is exactly the world that North Carolina State's living in. I've been there. It's miserable. And, in the meantime, Pitt is scoring at a rate of 38 points a game. All right? And, that doesn't bode well for the matchup. So it's going to be an upset victory. Philip, look up and tell me what the spread is for that Pittsburgh-NC State game. I suspect it's got to be a little bit more than a touchdown. But you tell me, because in the meantime, Pittsburgh's doing a pretty good job taking care of the football. Excuse me, they've given up 11 turnovers, but they've gained 11 turnovers. So they're sitting in a neutral area when it comes to turnovers, but they're scoring points. They are scoring points. And, they went on the road and beat Florida State when Florida State, before the wheels fell off of Florida State. And that's a meaningful victory. So it's just going to be interesting to see how the North Carolina State folks do. And in the meantime, just to touch on the UNC situation, North Carolina University had a game won, but they did what bad football teams do. They find a way to lose. And so you've got the tight end running almost uncontested across the goal line to win the North Carolina versus California football game, and he drops the football, which that's what bad teams do. There's a negative energy, a negative vibe, a negative karma that develops. And I've been there. I coached I think I was on a 1-10 football team at Mississippi State. And things got so bad we'd have to call a fair catch just to get a shotgun center snap. I mean, the negativity, the lack of focus, the blame game that takes place in those situations is so toxic that unless you've been there, you cannot appreciate what I'm sure the Chapel Hill gang is going through right now. And sure enough, chance to win a football game, you just drop the football. So having said all that, guess what? You get to go play the University of Virginia next. And out of nowhere, the University of Virginia is an ACC title contender. They're a 6-1 football team and should be 7-0. The way that the University of Virginia lost to North Carolina State I'm still upset about it because I'm a quarterback coach, and I pontificated on that game 2 weeks ago. On 1st and goal, the UVA quarterback threw an interception with about 50 seconds left on the clock. And I went through that whole scenario, and I won't repeat it. But UVA is they're rocking along at 40 points a game. They're a solid football team, and they're playing defense at a 23-point a game level. Their turnover margin is +6, so every conceivable number tilts to UVA. They're knocking down 50% of their third down conversions. And they're only giving up 28% on third down when their defense is on the field. This could be, if the Chapel Hill kids don't come out of the locker room with a lot of energy and stay interested, this game could get ugly. But having said all that, the University of North Carolina football team last week did behave a little bit better. I've got questions about how good Cal is. Cal has shown some moments to where, they're a good football team, and but they've been a little bit up and down. So there's a little bit of recap for those two programs, and I think Duke has the week off, and we'll get back in touch with those folks next week. So in the meantime, as I drive around town and go about my daily life all week, this radio show is never far from my mind about, just what to discuss, what to talk about that's a little bit out of the mainstream. And the state of college football, and that's what I want to talk about here. And we're going to run into a break, and I'll carry this little theme over. But if you have a question, don't hesitate. Go ahead and hit the number 252-561-4263, and I'll stop what I'm doing, and we'll entertain anybody that wants to get in on the show. But in the meantime, the state of college football. So I just began to write down some bullet points about all these things that are jumbling around in my mind, because we are 3 years in to the NIL, pay the football players, buy a football team journey. We're 3 years in. And I got news for you. The water is still settling. What you're seeing today, next year at this time, things could be totally different, totally changed, because there are so many competing agents at work relative to the college football industry. Lots of competing agents right now. But let me just throw some things out for you to just kind of think about as an audience. About 2.5, 3 weeks ago, Penn State University had a football coach named James Franklin, and he has won 104 games and lost 30. That was 2 weeks ago. He was ranked number 3 in the nation. And then he had an overtime loss, double overtime loss to, I think, the second or third, fourth ranked team in the country, Oregon. They lost that football game. Now, the burden that James Franklin and Penn State have been carrying for the last 10 years, they've been winning 10, 11 football games repeatedly. The burden was, we haven't won the big one. Hadn't won the big one, okay? And sure enough, they didn't win the big one at Oregon. And this game evidently broke this program. It broke it. They get on a plane, fly to UCLA, who doesn't even have a coaching staff in place. UCLA hadn't got a first down all year long, and they get beat by UCLA, turn around the next week and get beat by Northwestern at home. And guess what? So here's where I'm headed, the state of college football. So what you do is you fire the head coach who resurrected the program, built a resume of 104 victories and 30-something losses, and you pay him $50 million to go away. Hold that thought. Guess what? It's really not $50 million. By the time you pay off the coaching staff and flip the program, the estimate is it's going to be a $74 million flip. $74 million. So here's one of the things, and I'm talking about the state of college football. Here, let me tell you something that athletic directors deal with. And I have laughed at this dynamic, and there's nothing that I can offer up to cure it. But here's the dynamic in play. You're the AD at Penn State right now, and I'm going to get to about 15 other programs if you let me continue to rant about this, okay? You're the AD at Penn State, and you succumb and you fire James Franklin. Whether you agree with that or not, I don't care. That's not the point of the discussion. Here is the point. You're going to write a check for $74 million to flip the program. Who do you hire? Because the dilemma for the athletic directors at those high-level jobs, okay, I'm not talking about an American Conference football job here, okay? If you're an American Conference athletic director, you can kind of hire whoever you want. It's nice to win the press conference, but the New York media is not going to come bearing down on Tulane or UAB for whoever you hire. But let me tell you something. How do you win the press conference at Penn State? Well, right now, there's a few names that you could win the press conference with. Of course, the first name that comes up is Curt Cignetti. What does the Indiana athletic director do immediately when the Penn State job came open? He gave Curt Cignetti at Indiana a Penn State contract for $10, $12, $13 million a year to coach the football team, and he's earned it. And so now suddenly Curt Cignetti's sitting there going, I've just proven you can win at Indiana. Why go to Penn State? So maybe they get Curt Cignetti. Maybe they don't. But the point I'm making is, let's go. You don't get Curt Cignetti. Who do you go to next to win the press conference? Well, Matt Rule. Okay, Matt Rule probably would leave Nebraska and go to Penn State. I don't think that's a secret. And the press conference would be okay. It'd be okay, yeah, Matt Rule, that makes sense. He's a Penn State guy, and he's a former pro coach, and he's done a nice job at Nebraska, okay? So there's a winning press conference for you. But let's just say, for instance, Matt Rule doesn't come. You see where I'm headed with this conversation? So Penn State, the Penn State athletic director, how do you win? Hiring a football coach is not really that difficult. What's difficult is the double-barrel shotgun that comes into play. You got to win the press conference and hire a good football coach. I've seen athletic directors hell-bent on winning the press conference, knowing damn good and well they didn't hire the best football coach available. I've seen that over and over and over. And this dynamic is what keeps rattling around in my head about where's this going to go? Because let me continue on here. Penn State, I just described the problem to you, okay? You want to know what's getting ready to happen at LSU? Brian Kelly, the savior from Notre Dame? They're going to fool around and do the same thing at LSU, and it's going to be $20, $30, $40 million for Brian Kelly to walk away. And the LSU athletic director's got to go find somebody that can win the press conference and be a good football coach. Hang on to your hat. They've already fired Billy Napier at Florida. That was a $20 million walk away. And they've only got two names that they can go possibly win the press conference with. Okay? And that's Kiffin at Ole Miss, and somebody else's name's rattling around out there. But I'm going to continue down this list. It's going to blow your mind, and it's going to bring to focus, if you're a Power 4 athletic director right now, and you've got these guys that have bought your football team telling you what to do now, how are you going to win the press conference? Because I got one thing to add before the break. It was easy to win the press conference just 5 years ago. All you had to do is go hire Nick Saban's offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. You're good to go. You won the press conference. And they probably were good football coaches. That's gone. How do you win the press conference? Give me a call, 252-561-4263. I would love for somebody to call and answer these questions, but I'm going to go on down this list. It'll blow your mind what's getting ready to happen in the college football industry. We'll be right back.
Hey, Pirate fans, take a trip, consolidate debt, update your home. Whatever you're planning, a personal loan up to $5,000 can help. Coach Logan here from my friends at National Finance Company. With NFC, you can get cash now. Loans up to $5,000, same-day cash, and fixed monthly payments. If you need to borrow money, trust the company that has been helping Carolinians for more than 50 years. National Finance Company. Apply at any of their 24 North Carolina locations or at nfcmoney.com.
As fall approaches, two things come to mind: football and cooler weather. This is Rachel Davis with Advanced Mechanical Heating and Air. We wanted to thank you for the trust you have put in us this summer. Before you know it, cooler temperatures will arrive, signaling winter is on the way. Don't wait. Prepare now for colder temperatures by scheduling a tune-up. Give us a call today at 252-355-9191 or visit our website, advancedmechnc.com.
Your roof has seen its better days. During a really hard rain, you get a leak. Call a roofing contractor, and before they look at it, they say you need a new roof. Well, maybe you do, or maybe it can be repaired and last for a few more years. Whichever the case, Langley Roofing will give you an honest assessment. Whether it's commercial or residential, Langley Contracting will get the job done with their own employees. That's why you get a 25-year warranty. Easy number to remember, 252-214-ROOF. That's 214-ROOF. Langley Contracting, 214-ROOF.
Have you been to Jaggers on Memorial Drive yet? I'm a regular at Jaggers, and let me tell you, if you want fresh, not frozen, you need to come to Jaggers. Burgers, chicken sandwiches, all sorts of salads, and the shoestring fries. Oh, I love those shoestring fries. My favorite is the Berry Fresh Grilled Chicken Salad, one of the best salads I've ever had. My grandkids love the burgers and fries and the chicken tenders with the awesome honey mustard and ranch. Everything is fresh at Jaggers. They don't cut any corners. Jaggers on Memorial Drive in Greenville. Also now open in Fayetteville.
Hey, this is Gray Fussell, fourth-generation winemaker at Duplin Winery and proud alumnus of ECU. It's that time of year again, time for my latest Duplin radio ad and time for Pirate football. As always, I'd love for you to visit us in Rose Hill, North Myrtle Beach, or Panama City Beach, and to look for our delicious Duplin wines at your favorite store. You can also check us out online at DuplinWinery.com for all of our wines and the best cheesecake in the world. Thank you for your support, and go Pirates!
Anson Belt & Buckle offers a micro-adjustable, holeless belt, giving you the perfect fit every time. As an ECU alumni-owned business since 2009, Anson Belt is proud to be the official belt of East Carolina Athletics. Looking for a new belt for yourself or a special pirate? Visit AnsonBelt.com to see why over 30,000 customers have given their Anson Belt a 5-star review. With dozens of materials to choose from and thousands of possible combinations, you'll find the belt for every occasion, especially game day, at AnsonBelt.com.
When it comes to protecting your business, not all insurance agencies are created equal. As an independent insurance agency, Flatlands Jessup isn't tied to one carrier. We shop multiple companies to find the best fit for your unique risk. Our commercial insurance division brings over 150 years of combined experience to the table. With deep expertise in the industries across Eastern North Carolina, independence means options. Experience means confidence. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone here, Week 9 edition of the show. Coach Logan is talking about the state of college football and just how it's evolved over the last few years as it results to firing coaches and some of these large checks that these institutions or the owners of the institutions are having to write to get rid of guys such as James Franklin and so on. So we do want to thank our title sponsors, Bojangles, Bill Clark Homes, and Greenville Utilities for their support all year long of the Logan Zone. I want to thank you guys for listening. Remind you, best caller at 252-561-4263 will get a 8-piece Bojangles tailgate box. Now I'm going to toss it back over to the host of the Logan Zone, Coach Steve Logan.
All right. We are back. And just before the break, I launched into this state of college football issue relative to, as I mentioned, to start this conversation. We're 3 years into this idea where you're going to go buy your football team, put them on the field, and win football games. And, of course, the fan base, and that's really I'm talking to the fan bases, no matter what school is your favorite. The fans haven't caught up to what's going on, in my opinion. The expectation, the Indiana laboratory where Kurt Cignetti comes in and he brought the right people. And guess what? He's got a chance to literally compete for a national championship and a Big Ten championship this year. And he did that last year. I would say that the two biggest turnarounds that people have noticed with this NIL buy your football team thing, of course, Deion Sanders at Colorado. But I want to point out two similarities. Deion Sanders, number one, the main thing he brought to Colorado University was his son, who was an outstanding collegiate quarterback. Whether or not he's going to be a pro quarterback doesn't matter. he helped flip the program from literally 1-10, 1-11 to 4-8 the first year, and the next year I think they went 8-5, 9-4, whatever it was, which is tremendous. Okay, the Kurt Cignetti idea at the University of Indiana, absolutely fabulous. But there was something in common there. Kurt Cignetti came from JMU, and this gets back to what I was talking about earlier in the first hour. If you're going to go cherry pick football players, the American Athletic Conference is a place to go because there's good football players in the American Athletic Conference. Well, JMU, even though they're not in the American Athletic Conference, JMU historically has had good football players. Well, Kurt Cignetti got to bring a number of those JMU players with him. They understood the culture, they understood the language, they knew how to behave, they knew everything about Kurt Cignetti, which did what? It launched the program much quicker than some other places that are attempting to buy the football team. But I want to go back to 3 years ago. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, they were kind of the pioneers in the portal once it opened up. I mean, Ole Miss is out there, bing, bang, boom. Lane Kiffin's a good coach. And as I mentioned earlier in the program, this is not recruiting where salesmanship matters. What matters is your checkbook. And if you write the proper check, number one, that's a good start. But you have to give the check to the right player. And they got to be good players. And Lane Kiffin has done that. And so, as I go down this list, though, I'm talking about the dilemma for the fan bases and the dilemma that the athletic directors are in at the Power 4 level. So we got to Billy Napier. They gave him $20 million to walk away at the University of Florida. The athletic director now at the University of Florida's got to go hire a new football coach. Well, I got news for you. Steve Spurrier's gone. And you're not going to go hire Nick Saban's coordinators, which is what they did. That Billy Napier was a Nick Saban coordinator. And it won the press conference the day that he was hired. Didn't work out. But I want to know where Florida's going to go. They're going to have to write an incredible check to Lane Kiffin. I suspect Lane Kiffin will probably end up going to Florida. If he doesn't, wouldn't surprise me. But I think he'll go because if the University of Florida is handled properly, it's a monster program. Spurrier proved that. But it's a difficult monster to handle. That has also been proven by many, many, many football coaches that haven't been able to tame that beast. But let's continue down the list. We've already fired the Penn State coach, probably going to fire the guy at LSU, already fired the guy at Florida. Oklahoma University right now has lost one football game, I believe. Brent Venables, looking at the schedule, Steve Logan, 4 or 5 years ago, again, you start talking about Oklahoma State, that's my stomping. I get it. I'm born and raised. I get it. I know it inside out and backwards. I made this comment. When Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma for Southern Cal, I was the first guy. I woke up that morning, got my coffee, read the headline, and went, absolutely good move, Lincoln. Excellent move, Lincoln. Because if Oklahoma's going into the SEC, the days of Oklahoma University going 11-1 and having to beat Texas to get into the national championship picture are gone. Oklahoma University is going to be a 9, 8, 9, 10 win type idea in the SEC. That's if they're really humming. Brent Venables is on thin ice at Oklahoma University, and so help me Hannah, if he loses two more games down the stretch, Oklahoma University is going to be open, and they're going to write him a $20, $30 million check to walk away. Who do you hire at Oklahoma to win the press conference? That's the question. South Carolina University, Shane Beamer. I got news for you. I don't see Shane Beamer surviving this thing. They gave him a pretty good checkbook this last year. He went out and got him a pretty good quarterback, and for whatever reasons, they're sitting there at 3-5 or whatever the South Carolina Gamecocks are right now. they're going to have to fire Shane Beamer, and you're going to have to go hire somebody. And I want to know who wins that press conference. I don't know. Dabo Swinney at Clemson. Now, I don't think they're going to fire Dabo Swinney. I don't. But I got news for you. The stage is being set. And Dabo Swinney is one of those guys like Jimbo Fisher was. It's going to be $75-something million for him to walk, for them to have him leave. And again, the eternal question, how do you win the press conference at Clemson when all these other schools are trying to win their press conference and hire a good football coach as well? Hugh Freeze, Auburn, extremely thin ice. That job could open. Mike Norvell, Florida State, extremely thin ice. I think I read this, it's accurate. I think Florida State has won one ACC football game out of the last 10. And, of course, they opened the year and upset Alabama, and everybody's going, thank God we're back. And this gets back to what I'm talking about, the state of college football. Because Florida State beat Alabama, you're not back. Because the state of college football today at the Power 4 level is the NFL. Now, in the NFL, there's a situation called Black Monday. Black Monday in the National Football League is the first Monday after the end of the regular season, or maybe at the end of the Super Bowl. I forget wherever they've put that moniker. I've been a part of it. I know that, and I've avoided a few Black Mondays. It's called Black Monday because this is when all the firings take place. There is an average of 9 NFL football jobs come open every year on Black Monday. 9. That's with 32 teams. Now, right now in the Power 4 level, okay? Right now in the Power 4 level, you've got about 68 teams, okay? Well, out of 68 teams, if you've got 9 pro football jobs coming open every Black Monday, out of 32 teams, well, you're talking about 18 jobs coming open every year now in the Power 4 level. Okay, everybody just hold that thought. We have a caller that wants to get in. It tickles me to death. And who we got on the line here, Philip?
Chris.
Chris is on the line. Okay, Chris, you're in the Logan Zone. What you got, man?
Hey, what's going on, Coach? I really appreciate you doing this show. Been going to ECU games for basically my entire life. Loved watching you play or watching you coach and your teams. But one of my questions I'm very curious about. So I have a son who's actually playing Division III football up in Wisconsin. And my question is, with the way that college football is now, it seems like Division II, Division III, even NAIA are more traditional. My question is to you, how do you see these lower level schools that are now going to be getting all the Division I kids that would normally go to, some of them might go to ECU or might go to, William and Mary or wherever. Now they're going to go to smaller schools because they're going to be able to they're going to be able to play a lot faster. So I'm just curious how you see the lower levels coming up through in the next couple of years. And I'll hang up and listen, and thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, that's a good question, and this has to do, on my. I really appreciate the call, Chris, and what you're speaking to is what I'm speaking to in a rambling sort of way. I've got about 10 or 12 bullet points. The state of college football, and the point what I'm rambling on about is that we're 3 years into this NIL idea, and the water is far from settling. The water has not found, water seeks its own level. And it's still very turbulent right now with the player allocation, who's playing where, on and on and on I could go. And you're right there. The Division III, and I know exactly the conference that you spoke to, the Wisconsin Division III Football League, Wisconsin Lacrosse, and those guys, Whitewater, Wisconsin Whitewater. all of those guys. That's a fabulous little football league. Always has been. And it's really good football with really good football coaches. And you're lucky to have your son involved in that. And but I would say to you that nobody, now that people are getting paid, nobody's going to go down to that level if they have a chance at any kind of money at all. That's just not going to happen. In fact, I know for a fact that in the league you're talking about, Wisconsin Whitewater is traditionally one of the top programs in that conference. Well, I assure you right now that the University of Minnesota is, University of Wisconsin. All of those guys are looking at that film, and if there's a good football player that somehow got overlooked and he's playing football at Whitewater, he's going to be offered a paycheck to move up, and 99% of the time the kid's going to do that. So, there's all kinds of, in a backward way, there's some parity that's taking place here. And in fact, I've got right in front of me here my stack of 40 million papers that I print out each week. There is a parity now that is coming into college football, and it's scaring the blue bloods to death. Okay? It's scaring the blue bloods to death. And, the prime example is Indiana University is at the top of the Big Ten standings. The Big 12 is suddenly being, Texas Tech, who's always been a middle-of-the-road Big 12 school, went out and hit the portal. Not only did they hit the portal, they hit the portal effectively. They got good players. And Texas Tech right now, they got upset last week, but they're a 6-1 football team and favored to win the Big 12. How about Vanderbilt? Vanderbilt. I'm going to say that again. Vanderbilt. Is that they're in the SEC hunt. They're in it. They're legitimate. They've got a little Johnny Manziel type quarterback that is fabulous. Okay? Diego Prava, I think the kid's name is. And Vanderbilt is in the discussion now. So this parity thing, it's threatening the blue bloods, and I've said this to a couple of my friends that we've talked to this about. That, Nick Saban at Alabama winning 6 national championships in 12 years or whatever that run was, that's done. That's over with. That ain't happening. That's not happening anymore. And if time proves me wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. Georgia Tech is at the top of the ACC because they've done a great job of bringing in their high school kids, paying them, keeping them, hit the portal just a little bit, finding the right guy. Georgia Tech. Indiana, we've already talked about. Duke. And I have high praise for Duke University. Going out and buying a quarterback. They had a good football team. They had one missing piece. They go out and buy a quarterback. They're very competitive. How about Arizona State? Always been an also-ran. They're at the top of the Big 12. How about a school called Cincinnati? Fighting for a Big 12 championship. Missouri. Did you think Missouri was going to be competitive in the SEC? I really didn't. I was dead wrong. But there's the power of the NIL and the parity that's creeping in. Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. It took everything Georgia had to win that football game. And if they played 10 times, it'd be 5-5. I swear to you it is. I've got more to say about that. You want to get in on the show? 252-561-4263. We'll be right back for the final segment.
If you haven't been to Shaw's Barbecue in Williamston lately, you don't know what you're missing. Start the day off right with one of their sausage dogs, old-fashioned cheese biscuits, or any combination of breakfast sandwiches you can think of. For lunch or dinner, get crispy fried chicken, fresh seafood, or, of course, barbecue. You can get pulled, chopped, sliced, even G-Man chopped barbecue. What's G-Man chopped barbecue? Head to Shaw's and ask them. Shaw's Barbecue, West Boulevard in Williamston. Open daily except Sunday.
Fall is a great time for broadcast weed control. Let Eastern Turf Maintenance give your lawn the attention it needs and keep winter weeds out of your yard. When the Pirates come out to compete, they want to make sure their field is ready too. Eastern Turf Maintenance maintains the field for ECU, and they can do the same for you and your lawn. Contact Eastern Turf Maintenance today. Go to etmlawncare.com for all the information. That's ETM for Eastern Turf Maintenance, lawncare.com.
I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. The football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
Capital Subaru of Greenville invites you to fall into savings with a new 2025 Subaru Crosstrek Premium Lease for only $249 a month for 36 months. That's just $8 a day. Capital Subaru also has 2025 Outback models with 0.9% APR for 36 months. Whether it's the new Outback, Crosstrek, or any other new Subaru, you'll always enjoy the best sales experience and service. Capital Subaru of Greenville on Memorial Drive, a proud official partner of the ECU Pirates.
When making decisions on your insurance coverages to protect your most valuable assets, First State Insurance Advisors is here to help. When you choose First State, you are working with people you can trust right here in Eastern North Carolina. Clark Stallings and his team provide knowledgeable advice with excellent service. Whether you're protecting your family with life insurance, your home and auto with personal coverage, or your business with reliable commercial insurance, First State Insurance Advisors has you covered. We would be honored to become your trusted choice agency.
Guten Tag, this is meine Auto. Und this is meine key. And I only trust one place with meine key. Meine Key Car Care. They are so transparent with e-inspection, which shows photos of the problem and the fix. Meine Key is my favorite part of America. And my second favorite part? The cowboys and the horses. Remember, I only trust meine Key with meine Key. Your one-stop shop for total car care.
At participating locations. Meine Key locations are independently owned and operated.
Golden Corral is turning up the heat at dinner with all-you-can-eat wings. Dive into 3 crave-worthy flavors: classic buffalo, sweet chili, and garlic parmesan. Hot and ready, alongside all your buffet favorites. Whether you're savoring the flavors in the dining room or grabbing wings to go, Golden Corral's got your dinner, your football viewing, and your tailgating covered. It's wings, it's game day, and it's all you can eat, only at Golden Corral.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone final drive here at the Logan Zone. We can take your calls for the next couple of minutes before we get to wrap it up just before the top of the hour. But now we're going to toss it back over to Coach Logan. But one more time, we do want to thank our title sponsors, Bojangles, Bill Clark Homes, and Greenville Utilities. Now we'll send it back over to Coach Logan.
All right, so back into my little rant on the state of college football. And, as we sit here, I'm just going to read these names off one more time. You've got openings at, they got to have a head football coach at Penn State. You got to have one at Florida. Probably going to need one at South Carolina. Florida State, up for grabs. Auburn, up for grabs. Oklahoma, up for grabs. Stanford is open. They're operating with an interim coach as we sit here. Arkansas University, SEC school, open. Oklahoma State, Big 12 school, open. Virginia Tech, who we talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago, that's just dropped, what was it, $200 million? That they've raised $200 million they're going to reinvent football at Virginia Tech with a $200 million paycheck. They're open. UCLA's open. Now, it looks like they may be able to bump up their Tim Skipper, their interim head coach, if he continues to win, and that solves their problem. But I keep coming back to the problem of how these athletic directors are going to win the press conference, A. B, pay off the coaching staff they just fired to the tune of $20 to $40 million, and then hire a new football coach. And the going rate at these kinds of schools, you're talking anywhere from $5 to $10 million a year, and that doesn't even count your two coordinators that are going to be making $1.8 million apiece. And I just keep coming back that, I know Booster's got a lot of money. I know that. Boy, do I, because I've had them, they wrote a check at Mississippi State and ran our entire coaching staff out in one fell swoop, and I've said this publicly, we deserved it. It was the most chaotic thing I've been a part of my entire life. But I know what boosters are capable of, and I know that they've got what I call stupid money. There's no end to it. They can go as far as they want with it. But I keep coming back to, the fan bases. I don't think the fan bases have figured out. I really don't think the fans have figured out that this is pro football, number one. That's number one. I'm convinced they don't. They know it, but they don't know it. Deep down, they don't admit it. This is pro football, okay? I keep coming back to the fact that Power 4 football is now rapidly becoming the NFL. Listen to these numbers, okay? The average NFL margin of victory is 10.1 points. And if I'm not a gambler at all, I've never gambled 1 cent in my life, I don't think. I take that back. I got drug into one of the casinos down in Memphis, south of Memphis, whatever they call that place, and somebody was trying to teach me to play $5 blackjack, and I lost $60 so fast it crossed your eyes. So that was the end of that. But I don't gamble. I don't even pay attention, but, for radio show purposes from time to time, we'll look and see what the point spread is. If you look at the point spreads, well, Philip, you got a little time on your hands there. Pull up this Sunday's NFL football games, and let's just go down the point spread, what the betting line is.
Yep.
All right? Because I'm getting ready to tell our audience this. The average margin of victory in the NFL is 10.1 points per game. You want to know what it was from 2010 to 2023, the average margin of victory in the Southeastern Conference. The average margin of victory in the Southeastern Conference for the last 13 years was 17 points. 17 points. Since the advent of the NFL, do you want to know what the margin of victory is in the SEC? 10 points per game. Does that sound familiar? Steve Logan's been saying in the last 24, 36 months, Power 4 football is becoming the NFL. Average margin of victory in the NFL, 10.1 points per game. Average margin of victory since the advent of the NIL in the SEC, 10 points per game. So again, I'm just saying, talking to the football fans out there of your favorite university, if you think that Kalen DeBoer, the head coach at Alabama, he's not going to win 6 national championships at Alabama just because he's got that Alabama, sweater on. That's not happening. The lower tiers of every conference now have football players, okay? And I mentioned, before the break, you've got Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Duke, Cincinnati, Arizona State, Texas Tech. Those are not blue blood names. But they are here now, and you better get ready. Because in the NFL, what do they say? Any given Sunday? It's any given Saturday now, particularly in the Power 4. And
if you're ECU, it's any given Thursday, because that's when all your games are.
By the way, I hit this little chart. I found it rambling through the week. The American Athletic Conference, best chance to win the conference. South Florida at 48%, North Texas at 19%, and due to the upset of UAB over Memphis, Memphis is sitting there at 16% with a chance to win the conference. So, and as you look across the conference landscapes right now, Georgia Tech, 33% chance, and due to Miami doing the usual October Miami thing, which is losing when they're not supposed to. The University of Miami has a 20% chance to win the ACC, and the University of Virginia is at 16%. In the Big 12, it's Texas Tech, 39%, BYU, 32%, and guess what? Cincinnati at 11%. There's a name right there, NIL. It's leveling the playing field for the lower tier outfits. You know, Texas Tech is a lower, a middle tier outfit in the Big 12, and suddenly they're favored to win it. In the Big 10, Ohio State, 54%, makes sense. Indiana, 33% chance of winning the Big 10, and Oregon with an 8% chance because of the head-to-head with Indiana. And what do we got? We got left. The SEC at 57% is Alabama, 19% is Georgia, and Texas A&M at 9%. So, that's where those things are sitting. And, again, on the national front right now, chances to make the 12-team playoff. Here's how they're ranked right now. The 12-team playoff, if it was today, would be like this. And there's a kicker at the end, so hang on. Ready? Number 1, Ohio State. Chance to make it, 95%. Number 2, Indiana, 92%. Number 3, Alabama, 84%. Number 4, University of Miami at 80%. Texas A&M at number 5. Georgia at number 6. Texas Tech at number 7. The Oregon Ducks at number 8. Ole Miss is sitting in the 9 slot. Who is that? I can't quite make out who number 10 is. Number 11 is BYU. Get this. Today, if the playoff was today, the 12th slot would be Texas. But guess what the 12th slot is guaranteed to? Group of 5. You know who that would be today? South Florida. So, there it is right there. You got the Texas locker room, which I read previous to the season, you got to remember, this particular year, there was no cap on NIL. And they got to infuse the rev share money. So you had rev share money with a no cap NIL that collided on this particular year. I read that the University of Texas locker room was a $52 million locker room. Even if that's inaccurate by $5 million or $10 million. Do you see what I'm talking about, the landscape of college football? You got a $40 million locker room, and you're not going to make the playoffs? You've got a proven head coach. Steve Sarkisian is a proven head coach. So was James Franklin. They are proven that they win at a high, high level and an extraordinary high rate. So when your program breaks into this, you got to win the big one. This hit my brain today as I was taking my little exercise routine. This idea where you're going to fire the guy for not winning the big one, if that same atmosphere had been at work in the 80s and 90s, I'm going to give you 2 names that you would never have thought of as a championship coach. Tom Osborne, Bobby Bowden. Because for years, they never won the big one. And then suddenly, they did. Okay? Suddenly, they finally pulled it off and won 1 or 2 national championships. I submit to you, in this day and age, Tom Osborne would have been fired, so would Bobby Bowden, just like James Franklin, and all the rest of these guys I've been talking about for the last 25, 30 minutes. Folks, buckle up and hang on, because there's another Saturday of college football coming. And there'll be another 3 or 4 guys that we have to fire immediately for not winning the big one. That's all I got to say. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll see y'all next Thursday, right, Philip?
Yep, we're Thursdays the rest of the way, Coach. Woohoo!
All right, Thursday at 5 next week. Appreciate it.